Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled American Assassin. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing a man named Mitch Rapp, who has just proposed to his girlfriend, Katrina. Katrina, who loves Rapp, is happy and immediately accepts the proposal. However, shortly after that, while Rapp was buying food for the two of them, some terrorists unexpectedly attacked the place. As a result of the brutal attack, Katrina was shot dead by one of the terrorists. 18 months later, Rapp was seen practicing martial arts and shooting.
All right, stop!
In fact, Rapp also learned Arabic and the history of Islam just to communicate and join the terrorist group. Rapp did this to avenge Katrina's death a few months earlier. By infiltrating the terrorists, Rapp hoped to root out the terrorists. However, unbeknownst to Rapp, his conversations with the terrorists had been intercepted by CIA agents. One day, Rapp was called to an area around Libya, none other than to meet with the terrorists. Upon arrival, Rapp was greeted by the right-hand man of Adnan al-Mansur, the terrorist leader who killed Katrina. Adnan's right-hand man asked Rapp a few questions before taking him to a room. Then, after being taken to the room, he met Adnan al-Mansur directly. Here, Adnan asked about Rapp's intentions and purpose for coming because Rapp was not a Muslim. However, shortly after Adnan continued to ask questions, suddenly, a group of CIA agents attacked and immediately killed Adnan in front of Rapp.
Step away!
Amid the chaos, Rapp, filled with emotion, stabbed Adnan's body several times to vent his anger.
Easy, easy.
Afterward, Rapp was interrogated in a room about the real reason he wanted to join the terrorist group. Seeing Rapp's great potential, a CIA deputy director named Kennedy approached him. Kennedy tried to invite Rapp to improve the world and join the CIA to eradicate terrorists. If Rapp is willing, then Kennedy will train him to become a secret agent of the CIA, specifically to eliminate terrorist groups. After conducting several tests on Rapp, Kennedy asked her superiors for permission to include Rapp in the secret unit to help them eliminate the terrorists. A few hours later, Kennedy took Rapp to a place. Previously, Rapp's eyes had been covered with a black cloth. Apparently, Kennedy took him to a special trainer of secret agents named Sten, who was also Kennedy's colleague. Here, Kennedy wants Sten to train Rapp specifically so that he can become an even greater secret agent.
We got an empty cot, empty footlocker.
Shortly after, Sten and his friend took Rapp to meet with other secret agents undergoing training. Here, Sten gave Rapp some special techniques so that he could easily knock out his enemies. Meanwhile, Kennedy is seen discussing something with several officials at the Iranian embassy building in London. In their conversation, it was revealed that 15 kilos of plutonium-239 had gone missing. It happened during a break-in in Russia, where that amount was enough to build a nuclear weapon on a very large scale. As Iran is currently undergoing a nuclear engineering program, Kennedy said that she would keep a close eye on those suspected of receiving stolen plutonium.
We wish we could offer more insight.
Thank you.
At night, Rapp and the other agents are seen being woken up for an exercise. In this exercise, the agents were tasked to remember every target they would take out. If they make a mistake and get shot, the device attached to their body will release a very strong electric power. Sten, who saw that Rapp managed to hit some of his targets, then deliberately gave Adnan a picture that made Rapp angry and shot him repeatedly. The next day, Rapp and another agent named Victor were again given an exercise to eliminate targets in a simulated crowd. Here, Rapp, who knew that Victor would be attacked by a woman, immediately went on a brutal attack. However, this suddenly made Sten a little angry, and he told Rap to control himself and not let there be casualties other than the targets they were after. Shortly after that, Kennedy approached Sten to tell him that the plutonium was stolen by a man named Ghost. We are told that Ghost is a former student of Sten who is known to be very dangerous, and who was thought by the CIA to have been killed on a mission, but in fact, he is still alive, and now roaming around out there. Kennedy also said that she was targeting someone from outside Turkey, an arms supplier named Sharif, because 4 days ago, he had bought a Russian-made nuclear trigger. That's why they had to act quickly to stop the transaction that would be carried out by Sharif and Ghost. Stan then ordered his team to Istanbul to meet with their agent named Annika.
Merhaba.
Merhaba.
Before that, Stan sends Rap into his room and shows a video of the attack by a group of terrorists that killed Katrina. This obviously made Rap's blood boil. Furious, he immediately tried to attack Sten.
You made a big mistake. You let emotion.
But apparently, it was a test deliberately carried out by Sten to test Rap so as not to carry emotions in carrying out the mission. After that, while they were on their way, Sten gave the names of the targets they had to pursue. Meanwhile, when Rap and Annika were watching around the location, they saw the presence of Sharif, who was talking to a man. When the man was about to leave, Rap suddenly did something unexpected. Secretly, Rap stole the man's mobile phone and immediately handed it over to Sten for immediate investigation. After the data from the mobile phone was successfully hacked, they found that at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Sharif would have a meeting at a restaurant. Upon learning this, Sten assigns Rap and the others to eliminate the target and the salesman and seize the package they are carrying. The next day, Rap, Annika, and Victor were seen in their respective positions, spying on the target. Shortly after, the target arrived at the location, escorted by several armed military troops. Due to this situation, Sten was forced to kill one of the troops and told the agents to get into action. After the troops left, Rap and Victor were assigned to the next position. However, unexpectedly, it turned out that Sharif had just handed over the bomb trigger device to Ghost, who was also in the place. When Victor tried to approach Sharif, Ghost, who apparently already knew who they were, immediately attacked Victor and fled. As a result of that, Victor had to die. Meanwhile, Sten, who knew the target was missing, pulled back Rap and Annika. However, unexpectedly, Rap took Sharif's men hostage and told him to follow the car in which Sharif was traveling. After arriving at the location, and after Rap tied up Sharif's men, he got out of the car to finish Sharif off.
No, please.
In the end, Rap managed to finish Sharif off, and he left with Sharif's laptop. Hours later, at the CIA's secure location in Romania, Rap is seen handing over the laptop for inspection by CIA agents. Then, a slightly angry Sten scolded and warned Rap because he had acted very rashly. However, Kennedy and Sten also learned that Ghost already had a very dangerous nuclear bomb trigger device. In fact, from the laptop, Kennedy also knew that a sum of $2 million was transferred to a bank account in the Rome area. Because of this, now Stan, Rap, and Annika immediately go to the location to find out who the money will be taken by. Behind that, Ghost was seen meeting with an Iranian defense minister named Bayhertz to discuss the bombing they would carry out. Bayhertz gave Ghost some money for the action. Then, Ghost explained that the explosive power of the explosives he designed had a radius of approximately 10 kilometers, which could scorch some human beings around the explosion. Then Bayhertz asked about the whereabouts of their physicist, who would perfect the nuclear bomb. As it turned out, the physicist Bayhertz was referring to was a man named Boris, who was now known by Sten's group because he had just taken a $2 million transfer.
Physicist. Let's go.
Rap and Annika chose to rent a room adjacent to Boris's room. While Annika and Rap are spying on Boris, Sten is seen guarding them by observing the situation from outside. Later that night, when Annika was comforting Rap over the dark tragedy that had befallen him, they were suddenly attacked.
Where is he? please.
In the end, they managed to take Boris hostage. Boris claimed that he was only assigned to meet with Ghost. Meanwhile, Rapp felt something was wrong with the mission this time and concluded that this was related to Ghost's personal problems, who had a grudge against Sten. As it turned out, Sten confirmed Rapp's words. However, they now have to stop Ghost immediately, as he intends to detonate a nuclear bomb. After that, when Annika finished treating Rapp's wound, she told Rapp to rest because they would look for Ghost the next day. However, Rapp, who heard the story about the ghost from Annika, suddenly felt suspicious of Annika because she never said they had to look for the ghost. Because of his suspicion, Rapp immediately interrogated Annika thoroughly and then handed her over to the CIA. It was revealed that Annika was an Iranian spy who only obeyed the orders of her superior, Ashani. Ashani is Sten's best friend. To get more information, Sten now intends to go to Ashani. Sometime later, Sten meets with Ashani and talks about how Sten now knows who Annika is. From here, it is revealed that the mastermind behind all this is a general of the military chief of staff named Rostami and Behertz, aka the Minister of Defense. Both are related to the nuclear agreement that Ashani had previously made with America. Since they hadn't found any nuclear materials for the past 2 years, they paid Ghost to find what they needed. Ashani also said that Rostami was now in Tehran, while Behertz was in Rome. Meanwhile, Annika was tasked with tracking his movements via cell phone. Although Sten had taken Boris hostage, Behertz had hired Ashani's men from Iran to continue Boris's assignment. Unfortunately, before their conversation was over, suddenly, from a distance, Ghost shot Ashani to death and captured Sten. Behind that, at the headquarters, Kennedy was seen looking angry because Rapp kept asking who the real Ghost was. Meanwhile, to get more information, Annika was taken to the CIA headquarters for interrogation. Shortly after that, Rapp received news that Ghost kidnapped Sten. He immediately rushes over, steals Annika's cell phone, and escapes in Kennedy's car. Here, Rapp asked Annika to cooperate as Ghost had captured Sten. After that, they immediately went to where Behertz was by stealing someone's car. Behind that, Sten was seen being interrogated by Ghost regarding the current whereabouts of Sten's men. However, as Stan remained silent, the ruthless Ghost tortured Stan in a very sadistic manner. Ghost also did this because he felt hurt from being betrayed years ago and attacked by his own men. Because of this, Ghost intends to eliminate some of humanity.
You start slow. Third mistake.
When the bomb was ready to be detonated, surprisingly, Ghost, who had planned everything, actually finished off his own group. Meanwhile, on the way, Annika said that she actually intended to stop the nuclear war that would be carried out by Behertz and Rostami's group. She did this deliberately because Annika's parents had died as a result of trying to stop their actions. Later, at the CIA headquarters, Kennedy, who had just learned that Rapp had escaped and saved Annika, immediately ordered her troops to track down Rapp's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Rapp and Annika, who had just arrived at their destination, secretly followed Ghost's men. However, when Rapp could not enter the great door, he gave Annika a gun and told her to leave first. Shortly after that, Annika, who found that Behertz, who had killed her parents, was dying without hesitation, immediately finished him off on the spot.
Not supposed to be here, Rapp.
Then Ghost was seen, who managed to take Annika hostage and told Rapp to put down his gun. However, because Annika knew that Ghost was very cunning, without hesitation, she was desperate to end her own life. Rapp, who found out that Ghost managed to escape, immediately chased him. Meanwhile, Stan learned that the bomb Ghost was carrying had been activated and was now on the ship he was on. He and Kennedy immediately ordered the Navy to destroy the ship. As it turned out, Ghost's targets were the 6 American military fleets now at sea.
Small vessel board, we flicker button. Man, this is not a drill.
God save him.
In the end, Rap managed to finish off Ghost. However, because the bomb explosion time was only 3 minutes away, Rap immediately turned his ship to the middle of the sea. Meanwhile, from headquarters, Kennedy, who saw Rap driving the boat, told the naval military admiral not to shoot.
Do not fire, Commander. The boat is turning.
Meanwhile, Stan, who was in the helicopter, told Rap to throw the bag containing the bomb to the bottom of the sea and immediately board the helicopter.
Any casualties?
Caroline, I don't think we'd be here.
Eisenhower?
A few days after that, Kennedy was seen approaching Stan at the hospital to ask about Rap's whereabouts. However, it turns out that Rap wants to complete his mission and intends to eliminate General Rostami, who is now running for president of Iran. Then, the movie ends.